Wanted to go over St. Kitts and Singapore comparisons and what are the advantages and disadvantages of both countries. I know quite a bit about both countries because I lived in Singapore actually for a while. I had a company there set up, so I know how that program works pretty good. One thing I will tell you is it's getting very difficult to get permanent residency in Singapore, whereas you don't have that in St. Kitts. In fact, you can get citizenship in St. Kitts really fast, whereas you can't do that in Singapore anymore. In fact, I know a lady that's there in Singapore right now. She makes about 4,000 Sing dollars a month, and she's applied 3 times for permanent residency there, and she never has got it. She's been there probably for around, almost around 12, 13 years. And so it's gotten very difficult to get permanent residency there, whereas St. Kitts, you don't have that problem. You can literally get citizenship in 4 months. So that's a big difference there. One of the big differences also is St. Kitts doesn't have an income tax, but Singapore does. Although Singapore's income tax is mostly territorial, they do have an income tax, and it is lower than most of the Western countries. But you don't have any income tax in St. Kitts, so that makes a big difference there. Also, if you'll visit our website at www.citizenshipquickly.com, we can show you how to legally lower your taxes dramatically and how to get your a second passport as quick as 3 months. Okay, let's look at some other differences here too. Singapore does not allow dual citizenship, and St. Kitts does. That's a big key thing that you need to look at because tell you something, when a country will not allow you a second passport, that's telling you something right there, that they're taking away a lot of freedom from you. Because if a country doesn't allow a second passport, and as I mentioned on other videos too, and that country cancels your passport or chooses not to renew it, you're stranded. You can't renew cedulars, any sort of visas, any sort of residency requirements. You're just stranded. You're basically, you'll become an illegal immigrant in that country. Trust me, you want second passports. You won't be able to have 2 or 3 passports at least in case you have a problem. It's like a huge insurance policy. You need that. Singapore does offer more visa-free travel with this passport, but what good is that if they control your travel by not letting you get a second passport unless you relinquish your other citizenship? St. Kitts doesn't require that. You can keep as many passports as you want. Singapore will require military requirements to get the second passport, and then you will have to relinquish your prior passport. And so this is something that you need to think about, because not only you're going to have to go in the military, your children also. This is another issue that you really should think about. St. Kitts doesn't require military requirements at all. Both countries, you can set up a business in as quick as 6 to 8 weeks. I set up a company in Singapore a while back, and it was very fast that I set up the company. Singapore will also cost you 3 to 4 times what a car is going to cost in St. Kitts. I don't know of any place in the world that has a car that costs as much as it does in Singapore. Singapore's got a bidding system they've got in buying a car, and it's just incredible the cost that you end up paying for a car. It runs about probably 3 to 4 times what a car is in St. Kitts. Singapore also charge toll charges at different checkpoints automatically every time you're driving through the city-state. You have to carry a device that triggers, and when you hit these points, they charge you for this. And one of the reasons the government does this, they want to get you off the road. That's why they got these metros there. It's so crowded there. It's incredibly with the traffic during traffic hours there. And so they're trying to get people off the road, and they're trying to charge you in every way they can because they don't want you on the road. They want you to take the metros, the buses, and all these other types of transportation programs that are there. Now, St. Kitts doesn't have that problem. They don't have traffic congestion. Tell you, it's a real breath of fresh air when you don't have traffic and you can just ride, and it's just very relaxing. I can't tell you how much that makes a huge difference in your lifestyle. But the traffic is a lot worse in Singapore by far. Also, St. Kitts has very little traffic issues and pollution issues because the congestion's not bad. Now, Singapore, has a fairly low pollution, but it's still quite a bit higher than St. Kitts because of traffic congestion. You got all this burning going on from Indonesia that comes over to Singapore once in a while. And also, only nationals of Singapore can buy landed property. In St. Kitts, anyone can buy landed property. Also, almost all property is freehold in St. Kitts, whereas there's a lot of leasehold property in Singapore as well as freehold. Healthcare in St. Kitts is free for nationals starting at age 62 years old for hospital care, doctor care in the hospitals. Free drugs and dental care in the government clinics is also free at age 60, whereas in Singapore you have to pay into the program to get the benefits. And Singapore's got a program called MediFund, and it's Singapore's safety net program, which covers only the lowest class of hospitalization fees and services. And this form of coverage and insurance is only available to citizens of Singapore. It's available once they've actually depleted their MediSave and also their MediShield funds. So, you have to deplete your assets before this kicks in, whereas in St. Kitts, you don't have to do that. They don't look at you because of your class or what you've got saved up. Those benefits come to you. I mean, it's just part of being a citizen there. Also in St. Kitts, a citizen does not have to deplete any of the funds or benefits mentioned to be like for instance, in the USA, they have Medicaid, which is basically the same type of program that Singapore has for this MediSave, and you have to deplete assets for that too before the U.S. kicks in money. You don't have that with St. Kitts. You don't have to use up funds before these funds apply to you. So that's a key thing. Also, Singapore does have better health care than St. Kitts, so we'll have to say that. Singapore has some of the best health care of any place in the world, but you got to take in consideration the pollution level is higher there and in Singapore than St. Kitts, so that's going to have a health hazard against you there. And also the water in Singapore is a lot dirtier. St. Kitts has got very clean water. I remember going down to the Sentosa plantation. The water down there was just filthy dirty. I couldn't believe people were even going in it. They have these big barges out there that just dump all kinds of stuff in there. And I would never want to go swimming in that water, but a lot of people do. But St. Kitts doesn't have that. They don't have these type of issues because you don't have so many boats and huge barges and stuff going around the island. And so you don't have those type of problems. And food prices are probably about the same in both countries. But I'll tell you something, as a whole, when you look at pollution, you look at cost of living, you look at income taxes, when you look at the whole picture, dual citizenship, to me, I've lived in both places. I like St. Kitts better. That's just me, myself. And, I'd like to hear from you if you've got a question or comment or what your feelings are on that. Just hit that below. And also hit the subscribe button on the right of your screen. You'll get new videos as they come out automatically. And also go to our website, www.citizenshipquickly.com, and hit the button at the top of the homepage that says Apply with Us. And then fill out the questionnaire and then hit the button at the bottom that says Send to Us, and we can help you get started. We actually deal with about 74 citizenship by investment, residency by investment countries that I think you'd be interested in. If you're not interested in St. Kitts or Singapore, we deal with both countries. But I will tell you this, St. Kitts to me checks more of the boxes than any of the countries that we deal with. but we deal with all of them, Estonia, Lithuania, you name it, we deal with it. So, if you're interested, just let us know. We'll go from there, and I look forward to talking to you in the next video. Take care.